We have seen that trade could either raise demand for schooling through income effects or reduce it if it causes the skill premium to decline. Many countries have experienced this dilemma. Bangladesh provides a good illustration of the impacts of trade on educational incentives. We saw in an earlier module that the ready-made garment industry in Bangladesh boomed after trade reforms that made the economy more open and gave it easier access to export markets. Ready-made garment production is very intensive in low-skill labor. Studies of Bangladesh during this transition find that the demand for low-skill jobs increased faster than for high-skill jobs. All categories of employment rose, as did the incomes of many households. But the skill premium was reduced. For some children at the margins of ability or in households with low capacity to fund education, this compression of the returns to education probably caused them to terminate schooling earlier in order to join the industrial labor force. A study in Mexico illustrates the skill premium effect very clearly. Foreign direct investment in the form of maquiladoras, or factories assembling goods mainly for export to the United States, greatly increased low-skill labor demand in the locations where they were established. Maquiladora employment is not skill-intensive relative to other parts of the non-farm labor force, and the wage premium for completing upper secondary school or grade 12 is very small relative to completing lower secondary school or grade 9. A study exploiting spatial variation in the location of maquiladoras found that for every 25 new jobs they created, one additional grade 9 child chose to drop out of school in favor of employment. Vietnam provides additional evidence of the skill premium trade-off. In Vietnam, as in most countries, government and state-owned enterprises produce goods and services that typically don't enter into international trade. These are things like education, health, public services, roads, and other infrastructure. Firms producing tradable goods and services better reflect comparative advantage, and in Vietnam, they predominantly employ lower-skill workers. As this graph shows, in the early 2000s, Vietnam's private sector employed more than 80% of the labor force, but only a tiny fraction of tertiary educated workers. Most of the tertiary and even secondary educated workers were employed in the public sector. As the trade-oriented part of Vietnam's economy has expanded, demand for lower-skill workers has, in general, risen faster than for more skilled workers. This has pushed down the skill premium, lowering expected returns to education. As a result, the number of children remaining in school beyond the age of compulsory education, that is, beyond 15 years old, has risen more slowly than would otherwise have been the case.